Be really honest if you woke up this morning feeling like this was the first day of school and you said, ah. It's okay to feel that way, but I always feel once I get here like waking up was the hardest part of my whole day, and after that, it is just a beautiful, smooth sailing experience when I come to American Heritage School. I hope you feel that same way. We would like to welcome so many of you, but just to give a sense for who's here, first of all, we'd like to thank and welcome any board members who we have. If you could just raise your hand, board members. Okay, LaDawn, Laurie, David, we'll introduce some of them a little bit later. Thank you for being with us. Any guests who have come who are neither faculty nor staff or new parents, you're just guests. You came to visit and be a part of our foundations training. Peter Cannon from the Liberty Hills Academy in Bountiful. Okay, we're glad to have you with us. Thank you for coming down. New parents at American Heritage School, could you please raise your hands? Just getting ready to find out what really is this that we've gotten ourselves into. We're glad to have you with us today. New teachers who have been with us for a full week already, thank you. It has been a marathon, and now you're going on to your second marathon. We are grateful for you. Many of these teachers are very experienced teachers coming from other school settings, and you'll get to know them a little bit later this week as well. Faculty and staff, those of you who have been with us for 1 to 5 years, raise your hand, please. 6 to 10 years. 11 to 15 years. 16 to 20 years. And more than 20 years. Linda, we love you. A staple in our school community. And Larita and Donna, those three were at our groundbreaking ceremony with their hard hats on, from the old school to the new, and into the future. If you're presenting this week, will you please raise your hand? I want to thank you especially. I know that you probably had some late nights this past week getting ready for your presentation. This is no small undertaking, especially as you're also getting ready for school. Does anyone feel left out who has not raised their hand yet? Parents at the school who are just returning to this, even though you're not required to come to this except once as a parent, raise your hand if you're back for another. You just love it so much. Wonderful. Thank you. Deisha, others, glad to have you with us. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, these beautiful binders that you have received, I just want to thank our staff. Angela Davidson and Chris McKinley, our front office staff, and so many others for this work. You should have one of these. It has the agenda in it. I don't believe we have any changes to the agenda, but assistant principals or staff, just correct me if I'm wrong on that. New parents, we're only expecting you to be here today. The rest of the agenda for the week is for our faculty and staff, but we know that one day is a big commitment, so appreciate your being with us. We do want you to take time right now to put your names on your binders. So please just go ahead and write your name somewhere, first page, on the cover. We have probably a dozen of these that get lost after sometimes the first half day because people leave for breaks and they come back and they just can't tell. So please go ahead. There's a space right on the cover for your name if you want to pull that little slip out and put your name on it. Lunch is provided today, so if you did not pre-register, just let one of our faculty know at the table here, and we'll see if we can get lunch ordered for you. I don't think that will be a problem even now. Maybe those are the famous last words. It's easy for me to say, harder for everyone else to do sometimes, right? Also, faculty members, if you have not participated in your I Am American Heritage photo shoot yet, tomorrow is your opportunity. Please speak with Angela about that. I'm going to show you some pictures from that photo shoot. We've got some already, but there's a link that you can sign up or talk to Angela. Oh, at lunch or even today after training? Or tomorrow the 15th. Got to have time to get your things ready and your objects that define you. Okay, good. We're also selling spirit apparel in the courtyard during lunch and at the end of the day. And all shirts today are buy one, get one free. So we're trying to get through some inventory before we bring in some new spirit apparel for the new school year. All right. This picture that you see of a cowboy sitting at a table with a piece of rope is not stock photography. This is a picture of one of the most influential teachers in my life, F. Leon Lewis, who was my elementary school teacher in a one-room schoolhouse in Springdale, Utah, just outside of Zion National Park, where my mother and 7 children, she was really a single mother at that time. My father was commuting from the Bay Area, California for 3 years, where my mother raised us, and Leon Lewis had an impact on my life, planted seeds in my heart that have taken root and come to fruition just in time for a time such as this, as Esther was prepared. And not a moment too soon. Let me share with you some context about that last statement of it not being a moment too soon. Here are some national and local trends that you might find interesting as we begin this Foundations Training Week. I just returned from a Northwestern Regional Association of School Heads, and here are some things that I learned. Sexual abuse across the country continues to be reported at epidemic scales in public schools and in independent schools. The public school system has a crisis of confidence on its hands, and major ongoing investigations in prestigious Northeast independent schools are just beginning to come to light, as the Atlantic and the New York Times and the Boston Globe are conducting investigative journalism into this epidemic of our time, really. The National Association of Independent Schools has a major initiative focused on providing resources to its member schools for preventing educator-to-student abuse, student-to-student abuse, and sexting. Number 2, rising mental health and wellness concerns for teens and adults alike are sweeping the country. The Atlantic recently reported that this generation is on the brink of a mental health crisis. Cyberbullying and smartphones, the Atlantic investigative report queries, might literally have destroyed a generation. That's a query. Big question. Number 3, high leadership turnover in schools. The average principal in an independent school is only principal for 5.5 years at any single independent school, and only spends about 14 years total in the profession of school leadership. That number is far less for public school administrators. Teachers and assistant administrators in both public and private schools rarely want the job of principal or head of school, often citing comments like this one on a regional survey. Quote, "If you could just give principals a contract that promises they or the school won't be sued or held personally liable, I might be more interested." Number 4, given many of the things we just said, billionaires are beginning to invest in education in an attempt to remake it in their image. So reports the New York Times. And so invest Facebook founder, Microsoft founder, Netflix founder, and Salesforce founders. Number 5, marriage, family, sexuality, and gender roles are ideological battlegrounds that are polarizing our communities. Just take a look at the recent National Geographic, the REI magazine, and the Clark Memorandum from the J. Reuben Clark Law School, all of which are devoted to this very topic in the last 2 months alone. Number 6, religious and conservative individuals, schools, and organizations feel that they are being marginalized and disenfranchised. The head of school at one Catholic school in the Seattle area recently tearfully exclaimed at a Northwest Association of Independent Schools board meeting that she and other Catholic schools, quote, are feeling the mean-spiritedness of anti-religious bias in the association and in the region. And it isn't just behind closed doors anymore. It's explicit. Here's what one law professor from UCLA said recently. Quote, if I were a conservative Christian, which I am not, I would be very reasonably fearful, not just as to tax exemptions, but as to a wide range of other programs, fearful that within a generation or so, my religious beliefs would be treated the same way as racist religious beliefs. And now some Utah local trends discussed by Utah heads of schools and by our own Board of Trustees and administration. Number 1, sexual abuse in Utah schools continues to be regularly reported in the news. 2, teen suicide continues to be a major concern in Utah. The suicide rate has tripled since 2007. And there are more teen suicides in 2017 than in any previous year to date in August. The Safe Utah app, which helps students and adults, but mainly students in emotional distress, is just one of many tools that educators and healthcare workers are using to get a handle on the problem. As of this month, the Utah State Office of Education just announced that PE, art, and health are no longer required in Utah middle schools. Now, I will say that they're not being canceled. It's just that local school boards will now be able to decide whether they offer those subjects at all, which may be a good thing. Choice is often a good thing, but it is causing a fair amount of angst. Number 6, there is a severe teacher shortage in Utah, as you have no doubt likely heard. Maybe not surprising given all that we have just said. One family that just applied to American Heritage said to me that their local elementary school principal just announced that 54 kindergartners per kindergarten class are being assigned to each teacher, and that they have no aide, and that the first grade is still missing 3 teachers as of this past Friday. School starts this coming Monday. Local boards of education are levying taxes across the state with debt financing to try to increase teacher compensation. Lone Peak has a new principal, their 3rd in 4 years. The Alpine School District has a new superintendent, and local charter schools have similarly frequent leadership changes across the state. The Utah State Board of Education, and I'll just conclude with this one, is sharply divided about the role of private schools in the state's education landscape. In fact, they recently announced, and our staff received an all-faculty email about this, they recently announced that they were pulling licensing credit for certified teachers in private schools. Then, just on Friday, I received a letter, and we sent you, teachers, an email that promptly retracted that ban. The first time we've ever seen such a complete reversal like this from the Utah State Board of Education. So there are some very divided feelings on the US BOE about private schools and their role in education in Utah. Okay, lastly, a warning from the head of an established elite private school in the Northwest Association. He said this: "We focused so long on greatness that somewhere along the line, we forgot to focus on being good." I'm going to say that again. We focused on greatness for so long that somewhere along the line, we forgot to focus on being good. We were sending students to the Ivies, but we were sending them unhealthy. For the first time in 36 years, we are focusing on wellness, health, and happiness. Isn't that something? Why do I share all of this at the outset of a back-to-school week that's supposed to fill our cup and inspire us to want to teach in green pastures and drink from still waters? Because the classroom is not just a pasture where lambs come to feed. It is also a battleground for the hearts and the minds of the rising generation. Powers and principalities in high places understand that the philosophy of the classroom in this generation will become the philosophy of the government in the next. Which brings me back to Leon Lewis. And quite frankly, back to you. Leon Lewis, my elementary school one-room schoolhouse teacher, about whom I will share more tomorrow morning in a session devoted to a challenge from our Board of Trustees entitled "The Spirit of the One-Room Schoolhouse." And also, "Are we good enough for liberty?" Leon Lewis represents just one in a long line of faithful torchbearers called teachers, with whom you and I join ranks in what we feel to be one of the most important and mission-critical professions in the world. If my introduction about national and local trends seems a little dark for a Monday, back-to-school training week, let me assure you that it is only setting the stage for the entry of the heroes who bring with them the light of Christ, and that's you. That's you, teachers and parents who understand that education is a sacred matter. You who are willing to put just about everything on the altar of teaching, your time, your treasure, your talents. Why do we do this? I think our mission statement captures it well. To be useful in the hands of the Lord in building the kingdom of God on earth. And so this is you. I am American Heritage. These are some of those pictures I told you that we were going to be taking, and we need more of you. Not just teachers, but support staff members, all of whom are teachers, some who have been here for a long time, some who have been here for a pretty long time, and that we hope will be here for much longer, some who have come recently and we're still getting to know a little bit, excited to find out how they will transform our lives, just as those who are still here and have gone before are. Some have their entire families here. 2 of our faculty members. Does a red and a blue family really work? That's like a cross-platform relationship, Stacy. Learning things about these teachers and staff members, some that we knew, some that we didn't. We know that you have a life outside of school, and that what we do in our homes and how we teach in our homes and inspire in our homes is maybe even more important than what we're doing here. Some of you had a little agenda in your I Am American Heritage School photo. And then some of you who have just come and so excited to get to know you. This is Janine. You'll get to know she has quite a sense of humor, and she's quite an athlete. and our teachers' aides, who I like to say are our associate teachers. And some, I don't know if Earl is here. Earl, are you in the room? Some who feel that they might just be too busy to get their I Am American Heritage School picture taken. All right. Well, this is American Heritage School. This is what you have signed up for. Character, scholarship, and liberty. Christian character, inspired scholarship, and liberty through moral self-government. Let's introduce you now to our chairman of the Board of Trustees. David, thank you for being with us this morning. David is a parent at the school of currently 4 children. Is it 3 this year? Had 1 graduate, 1's on a mission. That's right. He is the founder and president, one of the founders, and the current president and CEO of doTERRA International. He has been on our board now for 3 years and is a powerful influence for good in our school community. We're grateful that he's taken some time out of his schedule this morning. Let's give David a big round of applause as he shares with us remarks from our Board of Trustees.